All right, hello and welcome everybody. Doug here with the LincolnList.com. Welcome to another edition of Happy Hour for October 21st. We'll be talking about the week in stocks and some of the opportunities that we see here in the near future. I have to say last week I tried to take this thing live like I had promised, and it was a bomb. I mean, I just bombed out big time, struck out completely. I tried to use Periscope. I thought that would be the best platform to use. And I've personally never had any trouble with Periscope, but for some reason, it just kept freezing up. People were telling me they were getting kicked out. I couldn't see the screen very well. I think my phone was off center. I mean, it was just, let's just say the whole thing was a disaster. And I tried to screen record it, and it just came back all choppy and ugly. I put it up on YouTube anyway, but I don't even know if you don't look at my face, which actually is a good thing for everyone, then you can probably get through the video because the content was good. But the rest of it, I think, was a failure. But that's how it goes. I mean, sometimes we come up with these ideas and we think big, we would think extremes, and things backfire on us. And that's the way it goes. We'll continue to do a couple of these via recording and try to come back at it and give it another shot here in the near future. So let's kind of move on here. Since it's happy hour, we do have a special guest. And today our guest in attendance is Mr. Peat Monster. Now, you know, if you've watched any of these last videos, I love peaty tasting scotches. For those the first time tuning in, that's a smoky flavored scotch. And throughout my travels and my desires to search this great earth for the most peatiest, smokiest scotch made known to mankind, I bump into this Peat Monster. I mean, you see the words Peat Monster and you think, hey, how could I go wrong? This has to be the Peat of all peats, the legendary peat itself. Well, I've already had some, as you can see, not just up to now. And I'm not going to say disappointed because there's not really a bad scotch. They're all just different levels. Some are better than others. So when you say, I wasn't really impressed, it doesn't mean, if I was sitting on an island, I wouldn't drink that scotch. I will drink that whole bottle. Let's just put it that way. But one of the things you can see here, I'll put this up here close if you can. Look how light in color this is. And the thing, it's really peaty when you drink it. I'll give it that. You taste the smoke, but that's all you taste. I mean, you just taste the smoke, which is great, but it doesn't feel like there's any alcohol kick in there. It's actually like a cigar in pond water or something. You're overwhelmed by the smoke. Then I don't know if it's masking the alcohol. Like when you have an Ardbeg or something like that, or a Lagavulin, you have a lot of smoke, or an Octomore, which is my favorite. You have a lot of smoke, but you can also feel that smooth, nice, rich alcohol taste come through. This is just like water. And I know there's alcohol in it because after you drink one or two, you're like, oh, I can feel the alcohol. But it's just kind of one of those things. I don't know. I like it. I'm not going to say I don't like it because I do. I'll drink it. I think I was expecting a little more. And maybe that's because it used the word monster in it, leading us all to believe this was going to be the smokiest scotch of all time. And that it is not. Which brings me to today's topic. We live in this society now where everybody has to take things to the extreme, right? We're just not happy with the way things are going right now. We have to take it to the extreme. Now, I don't mean pushing your boundaries, like pushing your boundaries, challenging yourself week by week or day by day. That's a cool thing to do. I'm talking about going too far, trying to top everybody or everything or create something that just going nuts. Let's just say like extreme going nuts. Like, for example, if you've seen, I don't know if you guys have ever seen crocodile bungeeing. It's like, this is a great example. There's a sport, I'm not even going to call it a sport. Crocodile bungeeing, where people bungee jump into a pool of crocodiles and they hope to just, go in and snap back out of the water, hoping that the crocodile doesn't bite them or snag onto them. I'm thinking, as if bungee jumping itself isn't scary enough and exhilarating, if that doesn't give you an adrenaline rush, if you're so dull that you have to actually do that and jump into a pool of live man-eating crocodiles to get your nads off, what does our society come to at this point? Same thing with like those people that climb up to these skyscrapers, massive, the biggest skyscrapers in the world, And I'm sure you've seen these pictures before, and then they kind of walk out on the edge and they stand on one foot and balance and take a selfie. It's like, what part of us drives us to push things to that extreme? Now, I'm going to say I've got nothing at all against those people. In fact, I love it because I've always had this feeling that if you are willing to sacrifice your life and your well-being for my entertainment, some Facebook or YouTube likes, you're okay. You thumbs up in my book, man. I can't fault you for doing that. I mean, that's amazing that you would, but it's crazy how we have to keep pushing things to the limit and to the extreme. And as I said, it's not about you pushing yourself, your limits, saying, this is my limit, this week I'm going over it. This is my ceiling, this week I'm breaking that ceiling. I'm going to challenge myself, and put yourself in a frightening situation and putting yourself in that kind of frame of mind where you kind of scare yourself once a week, makes you feel alive. I like that. I just kind of wonder, how alive do you need to feel when you've got to jump into a pool of crocodiles? Are you like really searching for something or whatever? Again, it's strange. And this brings me to the topic, how this all relates to trading. When you're talking about extremes and Peat and Monster, somebody's always trying to take it to that next level. This is one of the mistakes I think we can make as traders. I've done a lot of videos before about goals. Like for an example, I'm against making goals on a daily basis as a trader because in a way, not in a way, you are a victim of the market. When a trader has a strategy, and I'll give you the layout here. When a trader has a strategy, not every day that strategy is forthcoming with plays. On a typical day, I might get 1 to 2 great plays. And then on a good day, it'll be 5 or 6. So not every day is consistent in the market. So you can't just get up and go, I'm going to make $10,000 today, because maybe the market isn't playing into that type of behavior. On the days that you can make that and you see that the market is in your favor and your strategy is working well that day, of course, that's when you want to maximize it. But that's not up to you, if you know what I'm saying. You can't dictate to the market, hey, go up or go down. It's going to do whatever it wants. You just sort of have to work with it. And some days are better than others. Also, another extreme thing is really affects a lot of new people with their trading is they really go overboard with trying to learn too much, buying too many DVDs, trying to learn too many strategies, trying to work too hard. And I've often said there's a fine line. You see a lot of people out there, they say, you want to get rich, you work hard. Well, there's a limit to that. There's a thing called working hard, and then there's a thing called working smart. Let me refill. You don't want to just work hard, because if you just work hard, if you don't have a plan, if you're just winging it, you don't have certain goals set for yourself, you're just slaving away. You're not achieving anything. You're just working long hours, but getting not making any progress. And that's not what we're talking about. You have to work hard, but you also have to work smart, and you have to work with a plan. How this translates to trading is I know that the days I make my most money, trading is easy. Now, I want to kind of clarify this statement. I'm not saying trading is not easy. A lot of people out there say trading is easy. I'm going to make $10,000 in my underwear before 9 a.m. I'd like to see it always be that way, but that's a bunch of garbage, and people that are telling you to do that, they're full of it too. It doesn't work that way. You have to be able or willing to put in the hours. But I noticed that on the days I work harder and put more effort into it, ironically, those are the days I don't do as well. So what I'm saying here is that sometimes the market plays into your favor, and you want to go with that. So trading itself, when you're making money, should be easy. The days that you're struggling and things aren't working, those are the days you got to put your hands up, because what really causes us problems and costs us money and makes trading so challenging is all of the other variables that are involved, such as fat fingering your trades, revenge trades, emotions, getting aggressive when you shouldn't be, doubling down. All that kind of stuff is what impacts your trading. So what I'm saying is that your trading should be smooth during the day. If it's not smooth, and it's not, let's say, quote unquote, easy, then something's wrong. Either you're doing something wrong, or the market itself isn't playing into your strategy. And this is what the point at least I'm trying to make today, is that you have this market, this big beast of a market. You don't have any control. There is no amount of shares that you are going to buy, most of us. There's only a few people that can do it, that can change the market, that can influence a stock's price. You're a victim to the market and what the market wants to do. And unfortunately, not every day is the right day to make a trade. As they say, cash is a position too. And sometimes the best trade that you can make as a trader is no trade at all. Because if you do something stupid, like I said, revenge trade, double down, you're trying to get that last one good trade after you've already had a couple of trades, those are when the problems come by. And as I've always been a big pro about psychology, that's what starts the problems for the traders. Because what happens, especially in your early careers, I've always referred to this as a delicate period, because during that span, if you start making a lot of mistakes, you are building habits, and bad ones at that. And they're going to be very hard later on during your trading career to get rid of. And we all know that. One great example I've always given is, if you could go back and you could take out one trade, if your broker gave you a mulligan on one trade every month, what would your P&L look like then? If you could have just one freebie. So it comes down to just one trade sometimes. I mean, you got to be careful about the mistakes you made. So my point in this little rant, let me take another swig of this cigar water here. It's not bad, it's smoky. It's smoky. Is this. We're talking about extremes, and it's okay to push your boundaries. It's okay to put yourself, sometimes we need to feel afraid to feel alive. That's okay. It's okay. That's what you should be doing. You should be thinking outside the box. You should be pushing your boundaries. You shouldn't be following people. You should be an innovator, not a follower. Those are the things you should be doing in your life. But there's also a limit. There's a limit when things get to the obsessive point to where you're trying too hard, you're working too hard, and then that obsession and that work it actually backfires on you. That's what it does. It backfires on you, it hinders your progress, and it sets you back because you're trying to make things happen when there's nothing that you can make happen, and you're forcing the issue rather than letting it come to you. So in the end, let the market come to you. Don't force the issue. I kind of hope that made sense. I have no idea where I'm going on with this rant, but because I keep swigging down some of this monster. So anyway, I want to go back and I want to talk about last week. It was good. I have to say it was good. I'm on 5 straight weeks now of over 4,500 in gains. So, that all adds up. Again, when we talk about extremes, I've built my trading around non-drama, trying not to do this. I'm not the kind of trader that makes 10, 15 grand on a trade or $30,000 on a trade. That's just not how I've modeled my business, because with those gains, you will also have equal losses. Everything about my business is methodical. My average win is $400 or $500. My average loss is going to be about $100, $150. That's just where I fit in. I just happen to do it over and over again. And I'd say out of those 40, it was $5,300 this week. $5,300 at the end of this week. No trade was over $500 in gains. Not a single trade was over $500 in gains. So it's a grind. That's what I keep telling people. It's a grind. You got to get up every day. You got to grind it out. You take what you can get. And that's how you make your living. That's how you survive in the market. You just take what you can get. Some days will be great, some days will be bad, but in the end, it all should work out. But over time, right now as I'm doing this, over 200K now for the year, so it adds up. It adds up. My biggest win for this year was $1,300. So you can figure that out. $200,000 in gain, single largest win, $1,300. You don't need to hit the home runs every time you go out there. This is a marathon. You just have to chip away at it, take what you can get, and then you just keep doing that every day and embrace each day of your trading. So let's go ahead and get into charts as we talk about next week. I got to say I'm feeling a little bit of a shift in the market. And one of the things when I look back, I might have touched on this in a past video, I don't know. I know I've mentioned it to the people in the room, but it's like when I look back at the corrections, I've been through the .com correction. And I also went through the credit crisis. There was an Asian crisis, oil crisis is in there. And when the market starts to make a correction, there was a couple of signs that those had prior to that were sort of a giveaway. One of the ones was the reluctancy to continue to buy the dip. You know, the buy the dip has been a joke lately. It's turned into a joke, and you've got parody Twitter accounts out there about buying the dip. It's cute, and it worked for the longest time. I can't knock it. But you're getting to that point now where buying the dip does not seem to be working. You know, there's almost as that late day ramp every single day. Now you don't see that. Now you see things going down and then the bounces. Like, for example, biotech. You know, biotechs are so cultish. Usually when they go down 3-4 days in a row, you get this massive snapback rally. Again, we've had a small rally, but it's been sort of lackluster. So something to keep your eyes on. I'm not suggesting we're in a corrective state. What I'm suggesting, or not suggesting, or what I'm mentioning is there are a few internals that are not working like they were the last 4 or 5 years. Maybe it's something that has to do with the election. Who knows? But it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind about how the market's working. So as we look at the SPY itself, we'll start looking at some of these charts here. I'll put them up on the list. Okay. I don't think you're going to see any kind of, if you're going from a bullish perspective, I don't think you're going to see any, you're under the 50, the 20 moving average, and just park slightly on the 10 on the daily chart. I don't see any kind of upward momentum until you get yourself to about 215s. If you start moving over 215s, you can. I would think once you start working under 212.22s, which is the lows from 1014, you're probably going to challenge that low from 1018, not 1018, 1013, which is about 211s. Under that, you might really start to see some heavier selling. I mean, there's no support in the market till you get down to about 207. So I'm not saying we're going to go under, but you can get a nice little sell-off. Now, we're in earnings season, so we do have a couple of nice plays I want to look at. Expo is one of these. I had a good short on it the first day when it had earnings, but I ignored it completely on Friday. So on this one here, you got 2 really strong days, and you're filling in the gap. If you look at the chart on 7:15 when they had their earnings previously. This thing filled in the, just fill in the gap now. There's 57, no, not fill in the gap. Let me take that back. 57.68 would be a gap fill into that area. So this is pretty close. So if there's some way this thing begins very strong on Monday and it goes vertical into that price, or maybe even a little bit higher into some of that previous resistance from July, 59s, I'd like to short this stock. I'd like to short. I did pretty good with it on Thursday. I didn't pay attention to it Friday. There were some other opportunities there. But I like this Expo. I want to look at it. Another one is this Yard. It's secretly, this is a trendy stock. Let's just put it that way. You look at this chart. And all of July, this thing just ramps and ramps and ramps and runs and ramps and runs and ramps. And it goes all the way up to 8/16, August 16th, to $42. And then it spends the next couple weeks going down. And then it goes a couple weeks basing, and now you're on a couple of weeks of grinding. This thing looks like, I would think that, you got a little bit of a flag here on the daily chart. 31.36 would be the trigger point. You go 31.36, you're probably going to see this thing try to move up towards the 35s, maybe even the 36s. You got some room up there, so because it's close to resistance and it's been following the 10 moving average since September, I will be looking for that. So one trade could be the breakout above the 31.36, and the second trade could be an eventual loss of that short-term 10 moving average that hasn't given up in 2 months. If that comes to play, then this would be more of a short trade than it would be a long. So you can go both ways in this direction. And then we had really good earnings here, or at least translated good earnings on PayPal. And I like this one here too as a short. It just seemed like Friday itself was not a really good shorting day. You had options expiration. You saw all kinds of crazy moves on Friday. You had everybody looked like they were getting bought out. You had WIN popping, WYNN. You had SSYS, which hardly ever pops. It's ripping. What that was all about. I mean, you just had stuff going all over the place. But that sometimes happens, an options expiration. So it really wasn't that good of a day to short. But if this thing can go over the highs, it has to go over the highs. It has to be, excuse me. Ooh, I just got a sniff of that peat. Went up my sinuses. Anyway, if we go up 45 to 46, we start out there, then I would look to short that. So anyway, I'm kind of sweating. Maybe I need to give the Peat Monster a, woo, like I drank that one. It kind of went up my nose a little bit. So my eyes are going to start watering. Ugh. Anyway, in review, we've had it's been good. I have to say, but you know, trading itself is one of these things that you're better off trying. I guess the point I've been trying to make in this long rant is you're a victim to the market. You know, you can't change that. You can't change the things that happen. We can't change, you know, people always say, I hate manipulation. You know, I hate the way market makers work with stocks. I hate this, I hate that. You know, you can't change that. All you can do as a trader is try to make money in the market. You know, sometimes it's good to be bullish, sometimes it's good to be bearish. You have to be flexible, you have to be non-biased. That's why we preach that so much at the Lincoln List, because if you hug to a bias too much, you know, it's going to be hard for you to make money because you can't get that out of your mind. You want to short everything. You want to buy everything. You know, again, you are a victim to the market. The way you make money in this is let the market do whatever it's going to do. It's not up to me. I don't make political, you know, legislation, laws. I don't do any of that. You know, I'm just a guy who sits around, lets the market do whatever it wants, and trades accordingly. Some of those days are good. You know, they're good days. Some of those days they suck, and I wish I never even looked at stocks before. I can't lie. You know, some days are terrible, but in the end, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be somebody that gets to work at home, make $200,000 to $250,000 every year trading stocks, living my life without a boss. So there's other shittier things you could be doing with your life than this, right? So you got to think, again, taking things to the extreme. There's a lot of things you could be doing in life other than that. Anyway, I think I've ranted enough. I might begin just a little bit here with this swamp water. It's not that bad. I shouldn't be so critical about it. But anyway, if you guys ever need help with your trading, visit thelincolnlist.com. I say it in almost every video. We trade every day live on screen. This is not a chat room. I'm not sitting here hypothetically calling out calls. You're seeing that stuff play out live on screen, and there's a reason for that. When you see that, it allows you to understand what a trader is thinking. You know, when you join a chat room, a trade room, or whatever you want to call it, you're not in there to piggyback. That's what a lot of people think. I'm piggybacking off of this superstar. No, you're trying to learn how to think like them. You're trying to learn how a person is supposed to approach the market for success. That's what you're trying to figure out. How do you do that? And I was under that impression when I started that trading was about hot stock picks. No, it's not about that. It's a lifestyle. You have to understand what this thing is about. You have to understand how it works. And you have to understand where you fit into the grand scheme of this market and how can you make profit. How someone else makes profit may not be how you make profit. You know, that may not work for you. You have to find your own way, do your own thing. And being around professional traders with multi-years of experiences through multi-years of different kind of market cycles helps people learn what you should and should not be doing. So if you want to trade with us live, visit linklist.com. It's a free trial, for God's sakes. You don't have to pay anything. Just fill out the form. Start trading with us live on Monday. Other than that, sorry for the long rant. Hope you learned something. Hope I gave you some ideas that will help you. As always, thanks for watching this video. Take care of yourself. Until next time, talk to you then.